Present. One more time. So I logged in early, got everything all set up, and then discovered that that Zoom made a few changes on us. So that's all right. Hi from LA. Is that Louisiana, Robin, or is that LA, Los Angeles? New York City, says Denise. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. While you are waiting, if you're on a device, ooh, Central Florida. Oh my gosh, be careful. Los Angeles, the only LA. I love it. That's great. Awesome, awesome. All right, I'm gonna share screen. Okay, you should be seeing my screen now correctly. If you're just hopping on, I was just doing a little battle with the upgrades that Zoom seems to have just made. So anyway, we're ready to get started. I'm super excited that you guys are here. And we've got a lot to talk about. I did, I think, drop in the chat just a moment ago. If you would like an extra gift, I love chatting on Messenger, and I've been doing less of it. And so I thought, well, why not just do more of that again? Because it's a great way for, if questions come up or whatever, for you to have a kind of direct access to say hey and chat and whatnot. So I have a free extra gift that I will be giving you if you want to just pop a quick hello on Messenger, and you can find me at that link. It should get you right into my Messenger chat. And yeah, so today we're going to talk about content creation. I would love for you guys to drop in the chat kind of where you're at on content creation. Like, one being, I don't have my website quite finished yet. 3 being, I feel kind of like okay-ish with my content creation, and 5 being like, it's amazing. So if you feel like you're kind of like struggling with content creation, that'd kind of be a 2. If you feel like you're kind of in the middle, 3, 4, whatever that is. So Robin says a 2. Rose says 2. Denise says 2. I love it. I love it. Okay, so perfect. We are on the right spot. MJ says 1. Perfect. So what we are talking about today is basically content creation. Like, that is the heart and soul of having a blog. And the reason that we want to have a blog, just in case you're needing to kind of get a little bit of like, oh yeah, this is great. The reason we want to have a blog is because this is how we're able to show that, hey, we know our stuff. We're the right person for our people. We're able to support and connect with them. If you have another way of monetizing, it can be a great way to kind of provide a value, a benefit. Instead of like sending emails like, hey, buy my thing, hey, buy my thing, you can say, hey, check out this blog post. I'm here for you. I've got you. And it just helps people to trust you quicker, faster, and easier. So blogging is a fantastic thing. So Phil says, usually struggle to come up with topics. Yeah, that can be a common struggle. So yeah, all right. Okay, dokie. So, as we kind of take a look at going forward here, so we're basically talking about mastering content creation. We want to elevate your blog writing. We want to make it easier for you to be able to write with more confidence, to overcome roadblocks, and boost your visibility. So we're going to start out, we've got a couple of different phases to what we're talking about. So the first section is going to be the 5 secrets to successful blogging, so that you can captivate your audience, you can open doors and opportunities, you can bring people in, build trust, all of the good things that come from blogging. Does that sound like a good place to start? Then, so this is kind of a little teaser. We'll go into detail on what these are, but we do have, like I said, the 5 secrets, and then we've got 5 roadblocks to content creation, because I gotta tell you, if you get slowed down, it makes it so much harder. But if you fall in love with writing, it becomes faster, it becomes easier. We want to help you overcome the major content creation roadblocks. And like I said, there are 5 of them that we will be going through and helping you work through. Then we're going to talk about the step-by-step process for content creation framework, because here's the thing. You want to break this down, boil it into basic, process, so that you can get your posts seen, so you get more posts created, help more people, and make a huge impact. How's that sound to you guys? So let's talk about how to start. How do we start? And one might say, well, obviously we start writing, right? That's the first thing. We need to have blog posts, we got to write, right? But here's the thing. We want to make blog post writing easy. We want it to be a repeatable process that we can do over and over and over again. We don't have to think, we don't have to make decisions. Like, yes, we need to think about what we're writing, but it's different from having to be able to figure out all of everything and like, okay, put my brain into what do I need to do next. When you don't do things consistently, when you don't follow a standard process, and it just makes it harder. And I know it feels as we're getting started, like, oh, I could never, or maybe like there's voices, you're in your head kind of saying, I don't know. But trust me on this one, when you can get that kind of consistent, repeatable process, everything goes faster and it just feels so much easier so that you're able to stack the deck in your favor and consistently meet your content creation goals and reach your targets. This means month in, month out, you're able to create consistent published posts at the rate that you want to and feel great about it, right? And we're also talking about not creating posts at the expense of creating great posts. We're not talking about, you don't have to have a like over the top amazing post, but you want to have posts that inspire, that add value, that work for you and your audience. So we're going to add the step of planning in front of the phase of writing. Fair enough. Planning comes first. And so we'll dive a little more deeper into this in just a couple moments. But there are 4 phases, as I said, to the content creation framework, plan, write, optimize, and promote. So that really kind of wraps things up really nicely when you touch on each of those. And then finally, the content creation accelerator is something that if you guys are interested, we can talk a little bit more about at the end of our time together. Now, historically, I've had higher value ways for you to work with me with lots and lots of time together. And I have been recognizing that content creation is kind of a gap between people who are just getting started and people who are ready to grow the business side of their blogging. And so I created a really great high-ish highest touch program that's at like the $57 a month mark, and just really like great hand holding. I have heard so many good. We're a couple weeks into this, and it's a great time to jump in yet. So anyway, if you guys want to hear more about this at the end, I'll open it up and give you some info on this. It's training, guidance, support, clarity, confidence, success, the things you need to really create content consistently, get the quick wins, get some consistent results, have quicker turnarounds on creating posts because you're able to do it with that quick and speediness, and build authority and readers. So lots of great stuff. So that was kind of the quick overview. Does this all sound good to you guys? Can I get a 5 in the chat if this sounds like a good plan? You're on board? What are we thinking? Got a 5. A 5. Awesome. All right. Sounds good. So let's dive right in. My name is Lisa Atkinson. I know some of you are familiar. I've seen you before in the different trainings I've done and such. If you are new to my world, welcome. I'm a blogging strategist. I help to speed up blogging wins and get results. I just love helping bloggers kind of get the clarity that helps them just streamline what they're doing and get the focus and success. Why I blog is because I love the freedom that it brings to our family and the flexibility it provides. But I also love being a blog strategist because of how much of an impact I can make in bloggers' lives, right? These are just a small fraction of the bloggers that I've helped. Cheryl is a mom of 8, and she is sharing her story on her Can mom blog. And she went from, I'm not even sure I can handle it or that I should, to having an amazing blog that encourages and inspires moms. And Mikey in her Rural Writer blog is helping country loving women find community, share their stories, and be able to make an impact. And Catherine, she has a mindfulness blog and provides hope, provides encouragement, and is just yeah, just been doing amazing things with her blog. But I've helped women and bloggers, not actually all women, but bloggers from all kinds of different niches. And it's been such a pleasure and an honor. Anyway, just a little bit about me. So let's talk about the 5 secrets to having a blog. I kind of teased you with the list, but let's kind of dive into these. So first of all, audience, right? The first step is audience. You need to know your audience to be able to provide them value, right? And when we talk about value, a lot of what you want to do, at least the starting point of what you want to do, is to help people transform from something that they're struggling with to something that you can help with them with. So an A to B transition, we talk about it. So what we're saying is basically, is there something that your people struggle with that you can help them to learn, to grow, to get better, to improve, that sort of thing. If you guys want to drop your niche in the chat, I would be more than happy to kind of pull examples as we go and talk to and through some of that just in the passing conversation. I can always bring up other bloggers or hypotheticals, but if you have a specific niche you want me to talk into, feel free to drop that in the chat as we go. But yeah, so to help your readers best, you need to know what their A to B is, right? You might have an idea what you think their A to B is, but what do they really need help with? What are they really struggling with? So Robin says she's a therapist struggling in trauma, grief, and cancer. So fantastic A to B. And again, this is just me guessing, so you'll need to do maybe a little research to double check where your people are at and what their biggest struggles are. But like an example might be dealing with getting up in the morning and having, a bright enough outlook to get through the day. Like, is there a way that you can give them a transition, a way to improve how they view the day? Like, you can't probably solve all of their problems, but maybe you can make things a little bit better, right? So we can think of transitions or improvements from like the A to Z, or we can think about it A to B, B to C, C to D, D to E. And so you can break it down into mini wins. And so you're not trying to solve everything for them. You're just giving them a little bit of a mini win in this individual bit of time to be able to help them. Does that make sense? So that's one of the things that really can help, because people feel that you care. They know and can sense that your desire to help them and to be encouraging and inspirational. So one of the ways you can know your audience is through conducting market research. There's a lot of different ways, but one of the things we like to start with is conducting market research. And this is looking at a couple of different things, like what are their needs? What do they know that they need? What do they think that they need? Right? What are the things that kind of bother them or keep them up at night? What's important to them? When I'm going to just go through some of these examples here from you guys. I do business communications, says, is it Shella? And my hobby is travel in BC. So 2 different blogs. Okay, so if we say business communications, with business communications, what are your people who have business communications blog readers? What is their problem? What do they think they need? Do they think that they need to learn how to talk better, how to be seen better on camera? What are their things that they feel are important? But then the next step is, what are the wants? What are the things that they really want? Are they urgent? Are they like things that aren't necessary? Like, are they kind of like the fun things, the things that they really know that they need, or that they think that they need, but maybe aren't absolutely necessary? Like, because a lot of times we think, oh, well, I'd like this solution, but really what we need to solve the problem is some different thing. So kind of thinking through that. Another thing to keep in mind is unspoken needs. A lot of times people don't necessarily want to talk through what their needs actually are. Like, they might not mention it. They might do a little more like, what do they basically, what we're trying to figure out is there a gap between what they say they need and what they really need, right? Can they tell you about their issues? And then, like I said, with pain points, what keeps them up at night? What problem can they not stop thinking about? What do they keep going back to and searching through and looking for other options and ideas? Those are the things, if you can nail those for them, they're going to be so happy and fortunate and grateful and be followers long term for you. So audience, does that make sense? The next step is value, right? Value. So when we think about value, is that we think about again that A to B. What kind of, if you had your problem solved right now, what kind of value would you feel like you're getting? Like amazing, right? So when we talk about providing value, we're talking about reframing something that maybe they already know but haven't thought about in the way that you're explaining it. Maybe teaching them something that they don't know quite yet, or that they don't know the way that you're teaching it, like they don't have that comprehension the way that you are able to explain it. Maybe simplifying something that's complex or making something more memorable, meaningful, and understandable. Can you see how like I think we undervalue ourselves in the commit in the area of providing value. So all right, so authenticity. Authenticity. When you are able to provide authenticity to your audience, they absolutely love it. Like they feel so connected to you because you're sharing your personal experiences. You're giving opinions. You're consistent in your voice and your style. They recognize, excuse me, they recognize that you're being authentic. They recognize that you're someone that they would love to sit down and have coffee with or love to chat with. Excuse me. So you're able to share your perspective with the world, your perspective of the world and how you view things and how you think about things. All of this, the reason we want to have this authenticity is that we want to build the know, like, and trust factor. We want to get known, we want to be likable, we want to build trust because that is what is kind of like bridging them into connecting with us further, to wanting to take the next step, to wanting to buy what we recommend or what we suggest or what we've created. So that's all part of authenticity. And then the fourth item is, or the fourth secret is optimization. You guys, optimization. And optimization is kind of a little bit different these days. SEO has kind of gone a little wonky. I'm pretty sure it's going to clear itself back up. It's just a little wonky for the time being. And we're already starting to see signs of that. Like Google's recognizing blogging and content creation creators more than they have even just a short couple of weeks ago. So yeah, but optimizing for traffic doesn't mean just optimizing for SEO, which SEO is an important role for that. But also optimizing for search engine traffic, for sharing, for being found on different in your Facebook groups and being found in, oh gosh, I'm gonna sneeze. Hang on one second. Excuse me, I'm sorry. But being able to be found on the different places that you want to share your content. And so yeah, optimization is a huge step to being able to expand your reach and get more readers to follow you. And then finally, engagement. You want your audience to feel welcomed by your site, to feel heard by you, and to want to connect with you. Oh my goodness, hang on. Sorry about that. Oh goodness. So when we talk about engagement, we're wanting to build. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry, guys. Whew, sorry about that. Anyway, so yeah, so you want people to feel welcomed and to feel heard by you so that they can connect with you at that deeper level. That engagement is so important. And I don't think, it's not necessarily that you have to spend a lot of time and effort doing engagement. It's more like how your tone is, how you approach things, and also just having kind of a good call to action at the end of your posts. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. I've got the sneezes right now. So let's talk about content creation roadblocks. But before we do that, I'd love for you guys to drop in the chat. We had those 5 secrets to successful blogging. Did one resonate with you more than another? Drop in the chat. Did one resonate more than the other? Value, says Mary. I love it. I love it. Yeah, value is huge. And like I said, I think it's an area that we oftentimes sell ourselves short. Authenticity, says Ro. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Can you see how all of these kind of interwoven together really do provide a framework for building a strong blog? Like any one of them is like, oh yeah, that's nice. But when you build all of them interwoven together, you really are creating a trustworthy destination for your readers where they feel like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Oh, this is so helpful. I love everything that's here. When's their next post come out? They're just like excited for seeing what you're going to create next. So that is why these are those 5 secrets. But I'd like to transition into the 5 major content creation roadblocks, because roadblocks are something that is really easy to sometimes let yourself like not if you don't recognize that they're potential roadblocks, they can really get you off course fast, like and keep you from being successful. So the first one is time. And when we talk about time, there's a couple of different aspects. Like everyone has sort of the same amount of time in the day, right? So we all kind of have the same number of hours, 24 hours and whatever. But how do we use that time, right? What do we choose to do first? What do we choose to put off till tomorrow? What are those things? So one of the strategies that when you're looking at time management, is to evaluate what you're doing based on urgency and importance. This is the Eisenhower matrix, but basically the thought is you need to decide what's the most important thing. Like I've got 10 minutes free. What can I do during these 10 minutes that's going to make my biggest impact? What can I do during this free hour I've got? This is the only hour I can prioritize right now for doing this today. What's going to matter most? Doing those things first. Another thing that works really well is to kind of hook things together, hook tasks together. In particular, if you're able to break your tasks into small, manageable steps, excuse me, if you're able to break them into small, manageable steps where you can see, okay, well, I do this step first, and then I do this step next, and then I do this step next. Number one, you can start to see those patterns in the process of what you're doing, which makes it easier. But also, it makes it easier for you to hook different tasks. Like at least once a week, I need to do this thing. Well, what do I do once a week that I could hook this onto? What kind of consistent tasks can I add to my schedule so that I can accomplish what it is I'm trying to do and not miss a week accidentally as easily. Another thing that you can do is what's called time blocking, which is where, maybe you work on a specific time of day, or on a specific day of the week, you work at this time, and a different day you might work at a different time, but they're set aside times. So kind of like appointments with yourself, they're easier to make sure that you follow through on when you have kind of that consistent schedule you're working towards. So that all had to do with time, which was the first one. So the second one is writer's block. Um, and writer's block, there's a lot of different ways that you can approach writer's block. First of all, recognizing um, where is it that you feel that you're having difficulty? And Rose says on the time management strategy, habit stacking. Yeah, habit stacking is kind of that hook thing. Absolutely. Absolutely. So for writer's block, I would ask you to kind of start to recognize, when is it that you feel the most like, oh, I can't do this? When do you feel that pressure or that strain? And that is when you want to kind of take a look at what you're doing that's creating that, and see if you can like tweak that a little bit. Like, what were you doing right before that, or what was the step that came before that? And is there a way that you can flow more quickly into what you're doing next? Sometimes it can be doing something as simple as making an outline. Like, what are the things that I can do? And maybe even doing it before you finish the previous post so that you can sort of have that starting point and not be looking at a blank page, right? So that can be a good tip, or working on at least a rough draft outline for more than one post at a time, which reduces that sort of that blank screen impact. Another thing is that you can do maybe even just like a messy brain dump. And these are nice, pretty circles. But honestly, what I'm talking about is just take a piece of paper and write down like, oh, well, here's an idea. Oh, and here's a sub idea. This kind of relates to that. That kind of relates to that. This kind of relates both to this and, oh, this other idea. And just kind of draw lines and circles on your paper and make it messy and just kind of dump all your ideas out. and go from there. So that can definitely help. There's some techniques like free writing where you just basically start writing and see what comes out and kind of look for patterns. One of the nice things about free writing nowadays is that you can take your free writing, put it into AI and ask it to, give you some topic ideas. That can be a really great way. I think was it Phil that said struggle with topic ideas? That can be a really great way to um, get some momentum on figuring out what to write about next because it's connected directly to what it is that you are wanting to write about, right? Um, and then mental breaks. Mental breaks can be a huge thing, whether it's going and getting a little bit of exercise, bringing in some of those positive vibes from that, spending time with someone else, or just, taking a break, not getting beating up on yourself, but taking a break, maybe a coffee break or whatever. And then, looking back at it with fresh eyes and diving in again. I encourage if you're going to do a mental break, try to set a time span to that mental break, whether it be a half an hour, a half a day, or a specific time tomorrow, so that it doesn't become one of those things where it's like, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow. And soon enough, it's, 3 weeks and whatever on time. So definitely kind of giving yourself a little bit of parameters on that can be really helpful. Another thing can just be to change a few things, like change your perspective. Maybe what do you look at? What do you have in your room? What do you, where you work? What's your work environment? What time of day do you work? What kind of surface do you sit at or on? So these can be just some really good general tips. Again, we'll get into some little more blogging specific things here in a little bit, but diving right into that, one of the things that can be a time thing is fact checking, because the more that we kind of want to bring in outside information and ideas, whether it be AI or someone said or secondhand knowledge or whatever, the more that we do that sort of thing, the more that we need to kind of think through the amount of time that we're going to need to spend on fact checking. And one of the ways that you can do this is to start to think about what your audience expects. So in like a mom blog, you'd have a minimum level of fact checking. In a higher authority blog, like I have a dietitian, she fact checks every little detail. And she has to, because that's what her audience expects, right? So if you're using AI or using some tools that bring in outside data, these are some things that you can kind of think through in terms of prioritizing how much fact checking time you need to plan for, and what you need to kind of do related to that. So I think this is an area that doesn't get talked about enough. I think, we all talk about how, you can do this with AI and that with AI. But, we all know that AI makes up facts. It just does. If it doesn't know it, it kind of makes things up. Or it kind of gloms things together that don't always go quite as nicely together as it might appear from initial read through. So this can be a way to be able to kind of thoughtfully decide how much time to spend on fact checking. So that was kind of just what I wanted to say about that. Like that can be a huge time suck, and it also can be unnecessary to do it as extensively as we might be tempted to, if we let ourselves go down the squirrel rabbit hole. I did want to say, if you are in a more authoritative niche, Google Scholar is a really great tool to be able to pull in some authentic blogs for. So, all right. So let's talk a little bit about skills, because skills can be a really great way for you to be able to kind of level up what you're doing. And there's a variety of skills, like and I know Bobby, who does our Facebook group, mentioned that, it's so easy to like the technical part of things, and there's so many things to kind of balance. But I would say, like, there's the writing skills, there's coming up with topic ideas, there's editing skills. Those are like the three big ones. But honestly, the biggest one is head game avoidance. And the reason I say that is because that is the one thing that will knock you off your trajectory faster than anything else. Like you can do mediocre writing, you can do kind of okay topic skills, you can do kind of okay editing skills. But if your head tells you that you're no good or that, gosh, why am I doing this? You'll stop writing. You'll stop writing. And you can always upgrade your writing skills. You can always go back through what you worked on and come up with new topic ideas or expand on what you have or edit further. But if your head throws you out of the game, that's one of the biggest things that's going to mess you up. Um, so kind of along those same lines, the fourth one is perfection. Perfection. Perfection is the enemy of progress. Kind of like we said with those head games, you can't improve what you haven't started. You can't edit what you haven't written. And I think a lot of people think that they have to be perfect when in fact a B minus, a C plus, those are completely okay because you can go back and edit things as much or as often as you want to going forward, right? And I think we need to give ourselves permission to do good enough work so that we can learn to do better and greater work going forward. But if you don't give yourself permission to do that good enough stuff, you're never going to get to the level of perfection that you're, thinking about anyways, because you need to have kind of that progression of learning, and doing okay work while you're working in that direction. Does that make sense? Is this resonating with you guys? Yeah. So I oftentimes talk about, I'm seeing yes. Okay, great. Yes, yes, good. I oftentimes talk about how blogging, a lot of bloggers really struggle. Like 80-90% of blogs fail within the first 6 to 18 months. That number has just been shocking to me. And I think a lot of it has to do with those head games. Like you're doing a lot of stuff mostly on your own, and you're trying to do things that are maybe a little bit difficult or maybe cause you to doubt yourself when you pause and restart. Like all of those things can mess with your head, right? And the cost of perfection is overwhelm, like frustration, fatigue, exhaustion. So all of these, we're still talking about perfection, right? All of these things have strongly to do with perfection, with trying to hold ourselves to such a high standard that it keeps us from being successful. And instead, I would rather see you have some focused effort, even if it's, at the 80% level, right? Create some results that you feel proud of. Feel like you're making momentum and progress. So you're able to get consistent, set some expectations, meet them, put in some more focused effort. You see how this causes a spiraling up, and all the while you're doing this, you're going to get better and better and feel better and more comfortable and more confident. Such an amazing process, right? And here's the thing. As you improve, the steps that you go up, they don't have to be perfect to hold you up and carry you to that next level, right? They don't have to be perfect. In our mind, we think they do. But a step is a step and progress is progress. And as long as you're moving forward, you're moving in the right direction. Okay. So let's talk about steps. The step-by-step process of the content creation framework. So we've got 4 steps: plan, create, optimize, and distribute. Okay. So when we talk about creating, we're talking about when we talk about planning, we're talking about creating and following a plan. One of the things this has to do with is focusing on who it is that you're helping. Because honestly, when you create your content, if you have that as your core focus, like, yes, you still want to have it be optimized and all of the things, but if you are creating what your people need, what, in alignment with what they're expecting, it's going to make such an impact on the quality and success of your blog, right? It's really going to help you in that regard. So, and of course, you're going to do things like brainstorming and mind mapping and conducting keyword research, all of the things, right? But really, you do want to kind of keep that focus on your people and on their needs. And that's going to help you so much. So let's break this into steps, because I don't like to give you like this pie in the sky, like, yeah, create great content, make a plan first. I want to boil this down for you because I know at least some of you are brand new to kind of figuring out what you're going to create content about. So what you can do from a very first step perspective is just start to think about some great topics you could write about that would help your audience or your future audience, right? Start to think about that. And then pick one to start with. So that's pretty easy boiled down first step. And then as we do this, again, we talk about those taking steps and making improvements. As we do this, we perfect and improve. And, once this gets easy, then we do a next step up and a next step up. But, just breaking it into doable steps makes it so that it feels easy and doable, right? So, the next step is to create, to write, to create lots of great content so that you have this body of knowledge over time. Now, we're not saying at the beginning that you're going to have this great body of knowledge, but that's your goal, right? That's where you're setting your GPS, your MapQuest or whatever for. That's what you're heading towards. So you have lots of great posts. You're seen as a resource, as someone who's trustworthy and reliable, and someone who knows how to help people, right? So how do we take that first step, right? Because that seems probably like huge and not like hard to accomplish, but how do we take that first step? So the first step is to write a blog post. B minus, C plus work, totally fine. You can always improve on it later, right? But just to finish, start to finish, write a blog post. And if you're not sure, like, oh, how do I start? Think about when you were in grade school or maybe middle school or whatnot, and they broke writing into three parts, right? Your intro, your body, conclusion. Blogging has kind of that same process. Your intro, you want to pull people in a little bit. So how do you make it sound appealing for that first paragraph or two? Your body, you want to talk through the main points that you want to get accomplished. And then your conclusion, you want to inspire them to do something. Maybe it's to, take a next step or that kind of thing. That's called a call to action. Even if you're not really prepared to do those extra little bits to the intro, body, conclusion, just having an intro, body, and a conclusion is a great first step. So that is what I would say for create. Does this sound doable, guys? Am I boiling this down too simply for you? Does it feel about right? Looking for feedback. Feels right. Okay, roll. Good, good, good. Yeah, because I think a lot of times we talk about these pie in the sky things, like I was saying, create lots of great content, but how do we get there, right? How do we boil this down to doable steps? And that's I think where I think a lot of times, I see the gap happening where people struggle with getting the success that they want because they can't take that first step. It's not clear as to what to do. Rose says this sounds a lot simpler. I've been held back thinking about everything I'm supposed to do eventually. Exactly, exactly. So the third step is optimize. And by optimize, I'm sure you're thinking, oh, well, SEO and all of those things. And yes, that can be part of it. But again, that is a next level thing that you're not going to do at the beginning. When we say optimize, first and foremost, we want your content to be really easy to read so that if someone sits down and they're, busy doing other things, but they're just like, let me just read for a moment to take a break. You want it to be like, oh my gosh, this is so good. I need to finish this. I can't get up and do my next thing yet. I got to finish this. Right? That's your goal, right? You want to create focused content where you're talking about a specific thing, helping them with a specific thing, where you're adding value, giving people the opportunity to scan, so making it really readable, and so that they can read it on the go. And this will help increase your page views, increase the time people stay, get found on search. Like so many great things come from doing this right. So let's talk about boiling this down. Because again, like we said, SEO is not the place to start when you're an early blogger. But first of all, you've written your post, right? So the next step to really get that optimized is to read your draft post out loud and fix anything that sounds weird. That might sound kind of basic, but honestly, if you can do that right, that's kind of the first step. If you're looking next level from there, kind of look at what you can do to shorten the paragraph so that it's quicker to scan. Those are really some of the basic fundamental things that you can do to really help increase the readability of your content. And Grammarly is your friend, especially if you struggle with writing and such. Stick your post into Grammarly and have it just kind of tell you where things are not flowing quite right from a purely logic, like how to write kind of perspective. All right. So number 4 is distribute. I often call this sell, even though it's probably confusing because we're not selling our blog posts, but really we kind of are, right? We're promoting that people should read our content. But before we can do that, we have to publish it because nobody can read what's not published. And we want to create opportunities to talk about it, to share about it, because people want to share the good stuff that you're creating. And Google loves to share great content that adds value, right? Your loyal fans, they're waiting. They want to see what you got to create. And we don't even know necessarily who our future loyal fans are at this point. But we know, we trust that they're going to find us because they're waiting to hear what we have to say. And so we want to get our content in front of lots of people. All right, so let's boil this down. How do we do this? First and foremost, pick a good slug. That might sound really simple. The slug is the part after like whatever your domain name is, .com or whatever it is, / and then that part. So that's the slug. The reason I say that this is the first step is because it is the only thing you can't change after you hit publish. I mean, you can, but you're going to lose the history. So pick a good slug, make it like a word or 2 words, 3 words, as short as you possibly can. You can skip the words like the, whatever. But have it kind of be sort of indicating what keyword you might pick. And we haven't talked a whole lot about keywords, but kind of what's your focus? Like, what are you basically talking about? Put that in your slug, keep it to just a couple words. And that's gonna be golden for you. Step 2 is publishing. Publishing sounds really easy, right? Publishing, just hit publish. But here's where we get into that mind game stuff, right? You're thinking to yourself, oh, I feel like it might be C plus, maybe even D plus. I'm not even sure. Maybe I shouldn't publish it. Who's going to want to read it? You're hearing these things in your head? Because I know I've said them to myself from time to time, like, oh, I was so rushed on this one. Dang it, anyways. But here's the thing. You can fix it or take it down tomorrow. But going through that exercise of hitting publish anyway, even if it feels uncomfortable, is a good practice to get into. And odds are you'll probably like it more than you think you will when you come back to it tomorrow, right? You'll probably be a little less picky because honestly, we are the pickiest about our own stuff. And if someone else read it, they'd be like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I love this. And you'd be like, what? Are you reading what I wrote? Right? Those are the head games we're talking about because you spend so much time working on your own stuff that you kind of miss some of that, like the pick you up that you might need to be able to have a better frame of mind about what you're doing. But all right, has this been helpful so far, you guys? Give me a scale of 1 to 10. 10, yep, it's been amazing. 1, meh, it's been okay. Denise says 10. Awesome. Amazing, says Ro. 10 says Diana. Is it Altera? Am I saying that right? Altera? I'm probably saying that wrong. I apologize. But anyway, she says 10 as well. So awesome. Yeah, so we have got 10 times 10, says Michelle. I love that. So we have covered a lot. We covered a lot of secrets to success, how to avoid potential potholes, how to take the first step and publish your next post, how to publish them faster, how to not get stuck in our heads. And now I want to offer you the opportunity to explore deeper because we accomplished so much in our time together, guys. And yet it is the tip of the iceberg because working with someone over time allows us to start small and add a step at a time without feeling overwhelmed, but always improving. And it will help us to publish posts faster, make it feel easier, and feel great about doing it. So I'd love for this to be a starting point for our journey together. For the A to B, in this case, to be helping you create better content, getting it published quicker, faster, easier, feeling great about it, going from maybe disliking or struggling with creating posts to loving creating posts, to being excited about it, right? And I have created the Content Creation Accelerator to help you do that. Now, I need your permission. Would you guys like to hear about this? This is that $57 a month offer I talked about. And it is a phenomenal offer, in my opinion. I'm so excited about it. People really are loving it. Ro says sure. Okay, do we have any more yeses? Or is it just Ro who's interested? What do you guys think? Denise says yes. All right, I'm going to go for it then. All right, so Our goal here is to help you to enjoy the blogging journey, to build trust and visibility. We do this with monthly live trainings. We actually do 2 monthly live trainings so that you can reach your posting goals, and we have lots of community support built in. In fact, we have a couple of things that go on mostly during the first 3 weeks of the month, and then we give you a break after that. We, like I said, have 2 trainings, and then we have these co-working sessions. They're basically time for you to, Susie's doing those right now, be able to bounce ideas off of her, be able to chat with others in the group, be able to get out of your head and start, talking, blogging with other people as well. And then we have a accountability call with an outside blogging coach or coach that we bring in to help with anything you guys need to talk through to help you keep moving forward. Because here's the thing, guys. Catherine Chestnut, she's the one who I mentioned earlier, has the mindfulness blog. She had talked about, she'd been blogging a little before she came into my world. She was posted this in our group and said, "Oh, you guys are gonna think I'm crazy," but I was looking for something simple to do, and I started a blog post. Like, that would never have been what I have done before. And not only am I looking forward to writing, I'm writing it using some of the research and tools we learned last week. Like, so that's what's possible, guys, where you can enjoy what you're doing. And there's lots of different benefits. I talked through these on the sales page, so I'll not go into and belabor these now, but we cover lots of different topics over time. Right now, we're talking about batching. We know batching isn't for everyone, but the way we approach batching is to do it for one post. Like, help you firmly get the process in place for publishing one post, and then you can decide what level you want to speed up to in your content creation. So I'm gonna post in here the link to the sales page. And for anyone who joins while we're on live, I will throw in an extra bonus that you guys will really, really appreciate. So if this is something you want to do, I really would encourage you to do so, to grab that. But like I said, it's gonna be 97 plus going forward. You're gonna lock in at 57 if you decide to join right now. So lots of really great benefits. So there's 6 live calls a month. You don't have to do all of them. I would say for sure do the 2 live ones if you can. Toying with doing evening sessions, if that's something that appeals to you guys, let me know. If there's interest in doing that, that's something we can definitely talk about doing. But there's so many great benefits to this. Because it just, what the intention is that we want to support you getting consistent on creating content so that you feel good about what you're creating. And in a lot of instances, you're learning how to do things at the time that you're like, I'm already at capacity trying to get this out, and now you're trying to teach me 10 new things. I can't. So because we're on this journey together, we know and are progressing together, you're going to incrementally gain skills, not get, the fire hose turned on you all at once. And so people in the group, we've been doing, I would think we're about a month in. People are really loving how much they've learned so far, and kind of the pace. As you can see, like, I really like to make it so that it's very much doable and accomplishable, and that you feel good about it. So anyway, any questions? Any questions? You might be wondering, why is it only $57, right? Or you might be, thinking, how is that so much lifetime for that $57 price? And honestly, it's because I really want to support you guys. I know that this content creation thing is something that is super beneficial for you, and something that is going to help you long term. So yeah, just wanted to kind of speak into that. I'm gonna stop screen sharing. So if you guys want to ask any questions, you can feel free to do that. I'm gonna turn off the recording here as well, so you can kind of speak freely. And then yeah, we'll kind of go from there. Just give me just a moment here.